So I was recently asked a question by a potential client, and I felt like I should share that answer with you all. So overall, I was being asked when you should hire outsourced SDRs, right? It's a big decision in your organization to take your sales process outside. So the question becomes, when and why is it best to do that? So what you're actually asking when you ask that question isn't so much when should you hire outsourced SDRs, it's what problem am I trying to solve and can these SDRs help me? So one thing you have to get out of your head is that it's not magic. You're not shortcutting anything. You're taking a process that ideally you would already have running and you're accelerating it. So it's not going to solve for any of the tiny business things that you have going on outside of sales, but what it can do is put you on the right path to getting the type of sales that you want, right? So there's a couple of different scenarios that I would say make sense as a good trigger point. First scenario in which you need to think about bringing on more help and outsourcing is you've been running your business mostly on referrals and the referrals aren't enough. Truth of the matter is, referrals are never enough. No company is ever going to be able to reach its goals just on an internal network of people you already know. Okay? Referrals are wonderful, but they're not predictable and they're not repeatable. What you need is a pipeline of opportunity that's repeatable, and for that, you're gonna have to go outbound. Scenario 2 is when you're entering a new market that you haven't been in before. So, new country, new industry, new ISP, in a market that you've never gotten feedback before. A lot of the time, it'll make sense to outsource to people who have experience in that market and in that industry, specifically if you don't. Not only will it increase your pipeline, but it'll increase the amount of intelligence that you bring into the organization. Number 3 is probably if you're doing too much of the sales process yourself. And this is really just going out to the founders. If you're doing your own sales from start to finish, you're probably spending 40, 50, 60% of your time on a process that obviously and honestly you should be moving to someone else, right? There's only a certain amount of time in a day, and as a founder, you need to be able to spread your energy a little bit more evenly throughout the organization. SDR help can actually help you out a lot with that. You might be able to close, but if you gotta do the initial prospecting calls yourself, really, really bad. The fourth one, and probably the biggest and easiest, is just your pipeline is empty. You don't have any, you don't have data, you don't have a sales engine going in the first place. It's the equivalent of buying a meal if you don't know how to cook yet. Obviously, cooking would be nice. Don't step in the kitchen with absolutely no experience and hope to come up with a good meal. Have somebody show you how it's cooked, and then eventually, if you want to transition to doing it internally, you can, and then maybe you'll have more of the know-how at that point. Now, scenario 5 is when you're ready to scale something up. You already have enough experience in the market, you know what you're selling, you know who you're selling it to, but you just don't have enough hands on the team. That's a very normal situation that happens, and a big point where B2B outsourcing makes a lot of sense. Don't do it if you don't know what problem you're gonna solve. Don't do it if you don't know what your market is, or if you're not ready to hear feedback. Because from outsourced SDRs, specifically people here at Consig, sometimes we're gonna be telling you things you're not gonna wanna hear, and you have to be mature enough as a business to understand that and take that So don't expect it to solve all your problems, but if you need to scale up, if your pipeline's empty, and if you're carrying too much of it yourself, I would highly suggest exploring outsourcing your SDI work. I hope this helps. If you all have hit that referral ceiling in your business and you actually need that SDR help, you can follow the guide. That's what it's for. Reach out to us here at Consig. We'll be more than happy to help.